Good day, my friends. I'm Kat Rouse, a painter in the Southern Appalachian Mountains, and I am excited to do a little gratitude dream painting with you. I've been working on this journal here of different dreamscapes and paintings, and I'm going to do one in this new sketchbook. They're by the same maker, called Light Wish. And we're going to be painting along together. I did my sketch already, and if you're one of my patrons, I've been creating kind of outlines of these and uploading them to my Patreon community, so you can paint your own from my own sketch. But if you like, grab your own sketchbook, and we can sit and paint together. Trying to get some of those shadows out. There we go. And I also was sent this by the same maker. So this is on the back of the sketchbook. It says Potentate. I reviewed this in my last video about my favorite 100% cotton watercolor sketchbooks. And I have this larger one. So this is going to be the first painting I do in this one. They come with this incredible elastic. I really like that this is removable completely. It's kind of nice because there's you can kind of bundle it and move it. It does stain the front ever so slightly, but that doesn't bother me. So I've got the small and this more like an A6, maybe somewhere between B6, maybe it's B6, but they sent me this because they heard me talking about how much I enjoy this paper, and they make this really cool 6-ring binder with 100% watercolor paper in it, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. I'm going to share the links in my bio. So this isn't a sponsored film, but they did send this to me, and this is my honest review because I really do like these. It looks like it's built really well. This is like a faux leather sort of kind of soft touch. And I like that these are cut out just because I think it helps create a smaller profile for putting in your bag, so that the cover doesn't have to go all the way, and it's a magnetic closure, so that's really nice. The other really cool thing, the paper is 100% cotton. It works really nicely. I did a lot of layers on this one. This was the first painting I did. I like it that you can actually take the sheet out and work from it. And you could use this kind of as a clipboard. You could put a clip up here. I've thought a lot about how I would use this myself. I actually think this works pretty well. So if you're on the go and you're wanting to paint, you can pull this out, put a clip on here, and work from there. You can also work from it open, but I think the nice thing about having the rings is that you can keep your kind of the size of it small, whereas like this, I open it and I have double width. This way you can keep it nice and small as you work, and you can let it dry without putting it back in here. This paper, I would say it's single-sided. It's got a cold press texture on the front, and then it's smoother on the back. I did try to paint on the back of it and just feel like it's not sized as much as the front. So I really do think it's kind of probably meant for a single side paper. And then it's nice, then you can cut these holes off like with a paper cutter. And if you like the artwork, then you have that to work from. So it's gonna curl like ever so slightly. I did a lot of layers on this, but as you keep it in your book, it'll flatten out over time. So I decided I wanted to use this. I think you could use it for all sorts of things. I actually think it's kind of cool to do collections. And so I think you can refill the paper, so you can create a collection of work in here and then change it out. So if you're studying flowers or birds, I would do that. But what I'm doing, and I'm really excited about this for this purpose, is I'm keeping track of my different palettes. So I have This is my walnut dust palette, and so I can keep track of that. And as I change out colors, then I can change the palette and then keep it in this book. So what happens for me over time is that I'll put my palettes in a bound book, you know, kind of like paint my palette out here and let myself know what it is, or it'll be on a scrap piece of paper and then you lose it. But this way I can keep everything up to date. I know what the titles of my palettes are. This is my mini bonus palette, kind of what I have in there. So if that changes, if I use that paint up and put something else in there, then I can pull this piece out and put in updated, or I can keep them archived in the back of like which palettes, you know, what worked for me when. So maybe I want to return back to a favorite palette that I had changed and I kind of miss. So this one is my walnut palette here that I have in my travel kit. It's a big palette, but it's so easy to travel with. I make these wooden palettes. I absolutely love them. I want to share the joy of them. I have a new release of a lot of different ones, a lot of different sizes. These are all really tiny ones to travel with. I try to make some nice affordable level ones. These are handmade, so I mill the wood down to size, I cut the circles, I sand them, I try to round off everything, even this part, so it's nice and gentle on your brushes. And then I put 3 coats of Osmo wax on them. It's a hard oil and wax, which is non-toxic. It's not going to interfere with your paint. The water beads right up on it, and it's really, I've been using these for years. So I make a lot of these, and there's another really cool one. I have this scrap leather that I acquired, and so I've been using that to make some of the pouches. This really pretty walnut one. So it's just another alternative out there in the world. Anyway, but it's a great way for me to keep track of my different palettes, and especially like if I work out a palette for a customer. So if you ordered one of those palettes and you want me to fill it with color, I can do that. I'll have a link on the listing that where you can purchase the paints to be filled in your well. So I have a metal tin. These are my art toolkit palettes. So it's just really cool way. This is a 15 watercolor palette I worked out for a customer. So I keep track of that, and then I'll also put like you choose between these or these two, that kind of thing. So if you're having trouble choosing your colors, I'll give you some options and some ideas. Same thing here with 24 colors. These are some of my suggestions and then alternatives. And yeah, so this has really been a cool little addition for a way to kind of catalog and stay organized. So highly, I do recommend this. I don't think it was something I would have purchased on my own, but now that I have it, I do use it, and I'm excited about that. But anyway, I'm going to pull a card for us because I feel like it's a really beautiful time to connect with gratitude and reconnect with our soul, and keeping and honoring our own beauty and love and joy, and just keep that at the forefront of our lives as we interact with our neighbors and our communities and others. And this is the Phases in Force Oracle deck that I created. It came out this year. It comes with a booklet and a box, and I have some drawstring bags that are coming out very shortly. But our card for today is Hide and Shine. This is a fire pink flower, and these are morel mushrooms. And the journaling reflection prompt is, you are full of beauty and value. Are you letting yourself shine, or are you staying hidden? It's a good question to reflect on, and I think it's a really good reminder to let our light shine among others and let people feel warmth and goodness from us, and just stay a little more open. So, all right, let's get going. Let's start painting. I'm going to move everything out of my way. I do have it's November, so I apologize if I am telling you about the things that I make and create because it's how I make a living. I have been using this little sketchbook kit for myself for years and love it. They don't make these bags anymore. This is by Cotopaxi, or I haven't been able to find them. But I've been creating my own version for you for sale on my website, which has the same exact kind of thing. So it comes with a sketchbook like the ones I'm using, fine liner, a clip, a pencil, an eraser, even the water cubes I like to use. It comes with a mixing palette. I am on the fence. I might offer them. It's ceramic. It's got a little drawstring bag that I made. Last time I offered them with the palette that comes with it without paint. But I'm thinking about just offering them with palettes with paint, or an option to buy it if you have your own palette and you don't need another. So I'm thinking through that. Let me know if there's an option you think would be the best to offer. So these are some travel brushes. I have my Amazon list of favorite art supplies below. A lot of my favorite art supplies aren't from Amazon, but I have an affiliate link. It helps support me like a little bit if you do use those and find some things that you like. So there are some things there that are nice and affordable and nice to work with. So these brushes are in that same shop. So here we go. Gonna use this palette, and I'm gonna switch over and probably do just some really relaxing and paint along with me. I'm gonna zoom you in and I'll see you at the end. Hello, so I hope you enjoyed that little painting session. I've got most of the color kind of in here about where I want. I'm gonna pull out of here. I've got my Fude pens. I have 3. The 2 green are the same. I think it's 50 degree or 45. That's the one that's a little bit more. And then this one is a little bit less of an angle. But I don't remember which one's which, so I can't tell you. But I do know that I have a different color ink in each of these. And this one, I didn't label it quite as well, but I kind of have a little bit of a stripe there to show me that this is going to be my Noodler's Lexington Gray, which is kind of a fun ink to work with because it sort of makes you feel like you're working with like pencil color, you know? So it's got a similar color, and I'm not decided yet. I might actually... So the Fude nib, if you've never used one before, I'll show you here, this little scrap piece of paper. Depending on how you hold it, you can get a lot of different line variations. So if I hold it more parallel with the ground, with my paper, I can get really, really thick lines. But if I hold it more upright along the tip, I can get really, really fine lines. If I want super fine lines, I always go with this crow claw, I think it's called crow's nib, and with that, it's a dip nib. These are really inexpensive, and even these Fude nibs are beautifully inexpensive. I think I got a 2-pack of these for like under $20, I'm pretty sure. But the dip pen, it holds a lot of ink. And then this one, see the different line there is going to be so much thinner. So like when I do these like stair treads here, oops. One thing I will tell you, oh, it's flaring a little bit. Huh, that's interesting. Sometimes when you put ink over watercolor, it will actually flair, or what's that word you use? Just because of the properties that the watercolor on the paper can kind of make it absorb a little more different. Feather's the word. It can kind of feather a little bit more than it typically would on its own. So I might stick with, since I'm done painting, I'll move that out. I might stick with the crow. But you can see here, like if I wanted to really fill in right here, I can more quickly, just like kind of almost with like one stroke. But I think I might just stick to my dip pen for this. So and so this paper here is hot press, and the smaller one I was using before is cold press, so it has texture. This one was really smooth. A lot of times with hot press, I can find that the water sort of sinks in a little more slowly or a little differently than cold press, so you sort of have to work in a different way. But I found that this paper seemed pretty nice with the way it absorbed, and I didn't feel like I had to work differently. And I also, even when I was doing that, apparently I got too much water there, but I don't feel like I got harsh lines. I think it didn't dry too fast, which I really like. Sometimes hot press can feel like it dries a lot faster, so I'm just putting in some marks. As we make our marks, you can kind of see it come to life a little bit more. You see, I have to kind of go back to the ink, but I don't mind that. It's kind of is a really, really sweet way of working, and people used to work like that a long time ago. That was the only option. So can you imagine writing a whole book with a dip pen? I can't even imagine writing a whole book with a computer and a typewriter. So and the thicker you get the ink, the darker it's going to be. But it's similar to watercolor. It'll dry a little lighter. Here we are finishing up the last details, and then we just have ourselves a nice little illustration. We got to escape into a different world, into our imaginations. We got to escape into the wonderful world of color and watercolor and fantastical dreamscapes. This one's sort of kind of a mixture of a fun tree house, but instead of a tree, it's miniature, and it's a mushroom house. Kind of reminds me of all sorts of fairy tales over time. Just the way when we were kids playing in the woods, you would let your imagination run wild, and I feel like it's so important to keep dreaming, keep playing, keep our imagination open, keep our observations open, keep a little magic open, and as serious as life is, I think there's still a lot of need and room for play and mystery and wonder and joy and fun, because it can be contagious. And so even if everything else feels very down, and sad around you, there's room for fun. And they need that. We need that. We all need a little bit. A bit of that. So there we go. Here is a little mushroom. I'd love to see what you made. Find me on Instagram. Share with me if you painted along or did your own little dreamscape. I would love, love, love to see what it looks like. So tag me on Instagram. Send it to me in a message. It would mean the world to me. Okay, bye y'all. Let's talk soon.